takeaways for Lady United scoreless draw against the New York Red Bulls here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Sydney Tyler Henry with you. Disclaimer: this is the second time we've tried to do this. Somebody, I won't mention who, me, forgot to hit record. Yes, thank you, Henry,
All the
for the
time.
last one. So we wanted to get this out for you anyway. So thanks for bearing with us if this edition is a little bit later than usual. Um, let's get right into it, guys. Takeaway number one: the attack. Two matches real now that it hasn't scored. Of course, shutout against the shutout against Red Bulls, yeah, but shutout against Charlotte FC on the road last week. And considering the amount of money that this team or this attack was paid to come in via transfer fees, the target is going to be big. And right now, for the second week in a row, they have not lived up to that target.
Yeah, I'm not concerned yet. I think you have a group of guys who they know what they have to do. Right, these are not amateurs. They are well aware that right now it's not quite been good enough. You have a coach who's going to hold them to a higher standard. You have a coach who came out and said, "This is what I'm going to do to fix it." And so it's not concerning. It's just annoying, and it's just frustrating. And I know the players and Ronnie Dyla and the coaching staff are 10 times more frustrated than probably any of the fans are because, again, they know that it can be better and it should be better. So, not concerned, but you do have, I think, the right tools in place to get it going in the right direction. You have um, a coach that at training, and we've talked about it a lot on the show and on the website, who, he set the pieces right and did the right drills and everything. He prepared the team well for this match. But then going into the end of the match, as it kind of devolved into more frantic soccer, everything kind of fell apart. And so you went from playing very quick, short, tiki taka kind of passes, being a little bit more patient, to trying to bomb the ball over the top and not being accurate with it at all. It's just staying switched on for a full 90, and you did better in this one than you did against Charlotte, but it's just not quite there yet.
Like when you pay $50 million for an attack, you expect goals. When you break the transfer record for a striker, you expect goals. And the past two games, Atlanta United has not been getting goals. And so, look, the critiques right now, the criticism is justified. And until they start producing at the level that is expected of that kind of attack, those criticisms they're going to continue. So they need to figure it out quick. And look, it's a group of talented players that right now are not the sum of their parts because they're still figuring out how to work together. Um, but I believe that, as you said, Ronnie Dyla, he's a smart guy. He's a coach that has now identified the problem. He's spoken to it, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But they need to piece that together, and I think that there's a plan to do it. And another thing that I'm going to bring up that I actually forgot when we did this the first time around. Um,
Like me forgetting to record.
I notice one thing that I'm noticing is that when Miguel Almiron cuts inside and he free roams kind of throughout that whole space in the final third, he and Alexei Moranchuk end up occupying similar spaces. And to me, that renders both of them a little bit less effective because suddenly you don't really have anyone on the right side to create the overloads when Matt Edwards goes forward. You either have to, one of them has to go that way. And usually, Miggy and Moranchuk hang around the middle. And so that forces Latte Latte goes there. Well, what do you want Latte Latte? You want him in the center. And so that's one of the problems that I've noticed. Atlanta needs to figure out who the number 10 is going to be. Is it going to be Miguel Almiron or is it going to be Alexei Moranchuk? And whoever is not going to be the number 10 needs to stay on that side to create. And I know I'm not a coach. I'm not an expert in that. But I what I'm seeing is that they need to figure out that imbalance because it's rendering the attacks less effective. And there's another part of that we're going to get into in the next part about the overloads not being as effective. But if they can figure that out, that attack's going to click.
So let's get into that. Takeaway number two. Ronnie Dyla's comments after the match. He talked about the team maybe being a little too direct, more direct than they need to be looking to. I think he was saying what score with one pass or something like that. But ultimately, it's not working. Whatever they're doing is not working. They had several chances in the first half. So at least one that would have gone in, if not for an incredible save by Carlos Gardinado. But ultimately, second half, not as many chances, just looked aimless and empty in the attack. What we've seen from this team over and over again over the past few years.
It, I think it's easy to hear what he said initially and think like, what are we trying to do here? And it warrants an explanation, and Dyla gave it, which I was very happy with. And like Doug asked an original question, and then tried to circle back a couple of times just to kind of get Dyla to like provide some context about what did he mean by we're playing too direct. That seems the exact opposite of what we've been hearing since the very first preseason game. And then Ronnie Dyla proceeded to give essentially a 45-second masterclass in coaching and just kind of explain like this is what I mean. There is patience and build up, but we don't need to be recycling the ball just to recycle. I mean, Henry's got some stuff that he's going to put on the website about it to explain it in more detail. But ultimately, what he was trying to explain is like there is something here that we're not doing the way that I want it to be done, and I'm going to fix it. And you can't just, and you saw it at the end of this match, right? It devolved into bombing long balls over the top to nobody, literally to nobody. Some of the passes over the top were very bad. And so I think it's one of those things that, Dyla, and we've kind of hit on a lot as well. He's very transparent. He'll tell you what it is he's going to do to fix it, and that's very, very nice. It's very refreshing. So um, I think the entire answer needed more context, and I was very happy that Ronnie Dyla gave it.
No, for sure.
Yeah, huge credit to Dyla for his level of transparency and for taking the time to explain. It's always comforting to know that the manager sees the problem and identifies it, and that kind of tells you that okay, he knows more or less how to fix this. There has to be a plan in the works, and I'll try to give a little bit of an explanation of what he said, and then I'll write a little bit more about it on the website this week. But basically, when you're playing these long balls over the top, and the idea at first makes sense because you have latte lat, and if you can play him into space, which is what those long balls were designed to do, then in theory that should help him be more effective up front. That wasn't really the case because most of those long balls were ending up at Coronel's hands. They were ending up being, caught by the center backs, the defenders, and Latilat never really got a taste of those. What Ronnie Dyla's system asks for, and I wrote this in an article I wrote about 2 months ago, more or less, explaining his tactics. His whole system is about wing play and creating overloads on the wings. You have your wingers playing in your wing backs, your fullbacks, who then they all go on down that wing. You create numbers advantages, and then you find across a cutback into the striker, into someone who is ready to put it home. That can't happen when you're lobbing the ball forward all the time. You need to be a little bit more patient in that regard. So it makes sense what Dyla's saying right now. There is such a thing as being too direct, and we saw that in this game. So the idea is to find the balance between, you know, going forward and just keeping the ball between Brad Guzan and the center back, uh, and figuring out what is the right formula for, pushing the ball, creating these overloads, and making something real happen. The drills that they're doing in training that I got some video of, and I'm sure I'll get some more of this week in training, they make sense because it is the ball going to the wing back, playing in the winger, and then crossing inside. That's what they're trying to do, and they were doing it in the first half. They played it out exactly like they did in training. But then that kind of dropped off in the second half. They got a little bit desperate. They got a little bit panicky.
Yeah.
It's a matter of figuring that out. It's a matter of keeping composure. That's something else that Dylan mentioned, keeping composure and keeping your nerve in those moments. And if they can do that, then they're going to succeed at this system. I don't think the system is broken. It's a matter of figuring out how to apply it the right way.
Yeah, it's just something that needs to be sustained over the entirety of 90 minutes in order for this team to be successful. So, takeaway number 3: Enter Miami. We all know the big questions surrounding Miami: will Messi play? Will Messi not play? But at the end of the day, that shouldn't matter. I think Miguel Nerone said something along those lines. It's all about the team. It's not all about one person. And Atlanta United need to take that mindset into Sunday's match against Inter Miami because they have so many other players, Luis Suarez, Segovia, Allende, players like that who are able to affect the match in so many positive ways. And if Atlanta United get too caught up in, okay, is Messi playing, is Messi not playing, and take their eyes off the ball, no pun intended, they'll lose the match, plain and simple.
We've seen teams in MLS do one of two things when they play against Inter Miami and Messi, and that is either A, they forget how to play soccer because they're scared or awestruck, or B, they step up their game. And Atlanta United in the playoffs stepped up their game. You have a lot of those same players here, and there definitely needs to be a conversation that says like, no, we're coming out to do exactly what we did to Inter Miami a few months ago, and whether Messi plays or not, and I'll shoot the quick promo right here behind us is the Signia Hotel. 5 o'clock, we're doing a show here on Sunday for the Miami match.
Come out.
Yeah, definitely come out. At the end of that show is when we'll be finding out who is starting for both teams. And the question, yes, it's always going to be: is it Messi? Is he playing? It's a dangerous team regardless.
Yeah.
I know Henry's going to hit on that a little bit, but ultimately, like this could be maybe hopeful, but this could be the game where you have every player on this team that realizes, all right, we need to take it to just that next level. We have to be clicking, or we're going to get punished. And maybe this is what really gets it to just finally make sense for everybody when it finally proverbially clicks.
Look, Sydney, I think you said it the best. Messi or no Messi, Inter Miami is a dangerous team, and Atlanta needs to come out swinging. I mean, they went to Houston last week and left a dynamo-shaped skid mark. So
You said that in the other one.
I said that in the other one. I'm
trying to bring it back.
I'm mad that didn't get recorded.
This one is
Good. But look, Miami has some very good attacking players that are not named Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
You hit on Tadeo Allende, you hit on Telasco Segovia. They've been fantastic for Miami in Messi's absence this past week because he didn't play in CONCACAF Champions Cup either. So whether he's there or not shouldn't matter for Atlanta. You have to come out and you have to play like you did in the playoffs. And you have to bring back some of that FEA energy and show that you can ball and that this team can be more than just these 11 players and oh, we spent this much on this attack and it's not coming together. This is the time for it to click. This is the time for that to happen. And if it's not, I'm afraid this type of game doesn't end in a draw because Miami is going to bring firepower and I definitely think they're going to bring goals. And so you got to show them that you can respond. Like the expectations are really, really high for this Atlanta side. And this is expected to be a match between two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And so Atlanta needs to show that it can compete, that its players can put together 90 good minutes of soccer and make this building a fortress once again, because it's going to be filled with fans. Whole stadium should be open for that game, and it's going to be filled with fans making noise for 90 minutes, and that's how long the players need to play for them to come out victorious.
We see Rob Valentina hit the golden spike on Sunday. FEA. Speaking of FEA,
you said that the first time around.
I did say that the first time. I want to bring it back. Here tonight, though, Atlanta United 0-0 draw against New York Red Bulls. Shut out for the second time in as many matches. Shout out to our partner, Sweetwater Brewery. Thanks so much for your support of Scarves and Spikes. Go to sweetwaterbrew.com for more information on their products, their brews, as well as the 420 Fest coming up in April. ScarvesandSpikes.com, patreon.com, Scarves and Spikes. Go there for all of our coverage. Like, subscribe, share our content on YouTube if you aren't already, and we'll see you next time.